Welcome to Culinary Treasure Podcast. I'm Steven Shomler, your host, back here in Bozeman, Montana. This is my third trip, third year in a row coming out to Bozeman. I absolutely love it. It's an incredible culinary and beer destination, craft beer destination. If you want to see all of my Bozeman-centric content, you can go to adventuresinbozeman.com for my travel articles, my food articles, my craft beer podcasts, and more importantly for this podcast, my culinary podcast. I am so excited. Ryan Faber, do I have that right?
That's correct.
And at the moment, you are with On the Rise Bakery, which is an amazing sourdough-centric bakery here in Bozeman that I absolutely love. Did a podcast with Fletcher, the owner. And we talked about you, talked about what he does. It was pretty amazing. So now it's time to tell your story. So where were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Northwest New Jersey, a little town called Newton, New Jersey.
And where'd you go to high school?
I went to High Point Regional High School, Sussex County, New Jersey, a little mountain town.
And what's the, what is the mascot?
They are the Wildcats.
The Wildcats. Okay, so so professionally, you've been a bread baker. You've been what some people would say an American-style baker, cakes, pies, and cookies.
Yep.
You've been a pastry baker, which is what you are here right now at On the Rise currently.
Yeah,
you bake these amazing pastries, which we'll define for people in a second. So that's a lot of really different kinds of baking, actually. Those are all very different. Yeah. Making a Danish is different than a pie, which is different than making sourdough bread. But where did your baking journey begin?
I would have to say my grandmother. Her family, her brothers were bakers. They had their own bakery as well, and probably the 50s or so. So I grew up around. They used to make oli bolin, fried dough, Easter bread, which was a saffron bread, all Dutch style. That's
saffron bread sounds amazing.
Yeah, so it was a saffron steeped bread with raisins in it, done for Easter. And then they would show us had almond letters around and cookies from the local bakeries. So yeah, just always around it.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And where did your professional baking journey begin? Where you got a paycheck to bake?
First time I got a paycheck to bake was a little bakery from our town called the Yellow Cottage Bakery and Deli. He was a German style bakery, did, a lot of cakes and pies and cookies, American, German, Italian, kind of a blend from that East Coast blend of, what was popular. So that's where I learned how to bake. Started as a dishwasher just to get in there, and then quickly got thrown into baking one day. And,
but a lot of cakes, pies, and cookies.
Yeah, that's basically what I did. So, 200-pound batch of chocolate cake and, load them into the ovens and scoop them out and sheet out. We would buy frozen dough for puff dough and stuff for Napoleons, and we would sheet that out. I would, make cookie batter and sheet that out and cut them into sugar cookies, and he would decorate them, make wedding cakes, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, and then roughly 3 years later, you go to culinary school because you want to be just a better baker.
Yeah.
And so tell me about the program you went to.
I went to California Culinary Academy in San Francisco. Like I said, we wanted to expand my baking career, realize this is what I wanted to do for a living. I loved it. And I wanted to get out of Northwest New Jersey. So no one really knew of the Yellow Cottage, so I figured that was a good start to get a little degree under my belt. And
I assume you learned they did some of the classic cakes, pies, and pastries. I mean, cakes, pies, and cookies. Yeah. They probably did bread baking and patisserie probably.
Yes.
And patisserie's, right, the fancy word for making pastries.
Correct.
And did
Viennoiserie, just if you really want to get fancy.
It's what?
Viennoiserie.
Viennoiserie
is the art of laminating.
Yeah. So. And that's where you get into croissants and stuff. That's that's magic. I mean, in my head, that's laminating bread. That's magic. I just think that's incredible. But did you love culinary school?
I did love culinary school. Like I said, I had 3 years experience, and classes were, there was like 20 of us in a class. We just travel around it was like my class, and we traveled to each different course together throughout the journey. And since I knew how to do a lot of it, and there was one teacher for the class, maybe a helper, and there was a lot of us, and they would have issues, so I would help out. I would help the students, and I enjoyed teaching too. I just loved baking, so I would help out the best way I could.
And so this month, right now, we're in 2020, and you're celebrating 20 years of professionally baking.
Yep.
All different kinds.
Yeah, that September, I walked into the Yellow Cottage and put in a resume, or whatever you would call a resume at 18 years old. But yeah.
That is phenomenal. And I know you worked a lot of places all over the country, but what's that one really fun place that you worked at that people may have heard of?
Dean and Deluca in New York City. They started a bread pastry program for their cafes, and I was on that team to introduce the bread and pastry to the cafes in New York. So I did the overnight baking there for all the sandwich shops, cafes. So I went similar to Fletcher, and 8 o'clock at night, I drove into New York City, parked on the West Side Highway, and went up into the commissary kitchen for Dean and Deluca on, I think we were the 5th floor. Had a nice view of the Empire State Building and Jacob Javits Center, and baked bread.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 2016 is when you and your wife moved to Bozeman.
Correct.
And where were you living then?
Before?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I was in New Jersey.
You guys were in New Jersey. You and your
yeah.
wife were in New Jersey, and you end up moving to Bozeman. But why did you choose Bozeman?
I love mountains. I've always been drawn to mountains. I call where I grew up mountainous, but it's rolling hills of the Appalachian Mountains. I was a mile from the Appalachian Trail. Just grew up in the woods. And I thought my wife was crazy when she said she wanted to move to Montana.
So you guys were looking for various places to live. You checked out like Tennessee, Arizona, the Carolinas, and she came here at a meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, she came here for work for a meeting, and I was planning to come out, and it was in June. So it was a magical time in Montana. So I landed, and the second I saw the mountains, and I was like, yeah, I'll move here.
So she says, hey, we got to move to Bozeman. You're like, what? Montana? Are you kidding me?
My roommate in culinary school was from Missoula, actually. And
that's the home of the second best university in Montana.
Yes, yeah. And I was like, I was like, you live in Montana? Like, why would you want to live? But I mean, he had no choice. He was born there, but, I thought he was crazy. I would never thought I would live in Montana.
And I'm just teasing about University of Montana. Missoula's cool too. I love me some Bayern brewing out there.
Yeah. Oh, and the notorious PIG, the barbecue place. I'll drive up there just for that.
Okay, so you got here to Bozeman, and does Bozeman feel like home now?
Oh yeah. It is definitely why I feel so comfortable here and start my own business.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But it does feel like home.
But yeah, I want to raise my family here. It feels exactly where I want to be in my life. So
yeah, it's people that haven't been here don't understand. It's a magical place. There's a reason I come here every year. It's just fantastic. I just love being here, the vibe and the people, and it's
totally
just phenomenal.
My style.
So 2016, you moved to Bozeman. You need a job. Mm-hmm. You're applying at bakeries.
Yep.
You must now, looking back, think you are just the luckiest dog in the world to get to work for Fletcher.
I am. Yeah. I like I said, I had tentatively lined up a job coming out, but I told him, I'm not going to be out here until October. So, I'll give you a call when I get there. And I got here, and he's like, sorry, I filled the position. So he gave me a list of places to door knock and drop resumes. I went around to those places, and On the Rise Fletcher called back, came in and met him, and that's where it started.
Okay, so I'm pretty intuitive, actually, and I'm a pretty good sense of who people are. It seems like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but he's just a great guy to work for.
Oh yeah. No, we became best of friends. We spend pretty much every day together, one way or another, here or at home. So yeah, he's just a great guy.
That's awesome. And so 2016, when you start your baking bread, their whole weird, crazy two-step sourdough process, I think it's 987 different styles of sourdough that you make here.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, it's a lot of different sourdough, but they're all amazing sourdoughs.
Yeah.
And just because I'm such a fan, at Blacksmith's Italian, they have On the Rise Bakery, these epis, those little amazing sourdough with, you have the fantastic crust to crumb ratio. Have you ever got to make those?
Oh yeah. Definitely made lots of those.
You lucky dog, man. Be able to make those. That's where the magic happens right there. Mm-hmm. But then in 2018, something happened to your journey here where as I hear it, listening around the edge of the story, they pushed you out of the nest. Something was both challenging and rewarding and said, you're now our pastry chef.
Yeah. They wanted to develop a little pastry program here, kind of get a little more foot traffic for the front. And I think get those pastries he had in New York. He missed so dearly and wanted something like that. So
yeah, when we did a podcast with him, we tells the story, and people can go over there and listen to that, where how he fell in love with how Fletcher fell in love with pastries, working at Pan d'Avignon. I think it's close.
Pan d'Avignon, yeah.
Yeah, and he fell in love with pastries there. So up until this point in your journey, you've made bread. You've done the American style cookies, pies, and cakes, and you've done pastry before. Now you're really going to focus on pastries.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, when we say pastries, what are some of the things you would eat or buy? What are they called that are pastries?
So croissant dough was the most known pastries,
and that's a laminated dough.
A laminated dough with butter,
lots of butter, lots of folding.
It's a yeasted dough laminated product, and the difference between that and like a puff dough, most people know, is that's not yeasted. So that's just the rising from puff dough is just the steam of the layers.
And then you rise puff pastry so you can shove cream inside it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Stuff it, lots of room for the cream.
So how do you say croissant?
I hack away at it at croissant.
Oh, it sounds so cool when you say it. So those are pastries.
Yes.
Puff pastries are pastries. Danishes are pastries.
Yes. It's a slightly different style, but.
Yep. Brioche. Those are also pastries.
Yes.
So I just want people, when they say pastry, I want them to get some of the amazing things that you make.
Yeah.
Now, when I was here earlier this year with my son, Zach, what was that candied lilac insanity I had that was so good?
That was like when we first started the front project, and Fletcher's wife picked a ton of lilac flowers, candied them for me, made lilac sugar, all the good stuff, and was like, here, make something with this delicious at the bakery. So I took it and I made a honey pastry cream with to fill the croissant, and made a lilac meringue for the top of it with the lilac sugar and the candied lilacs on top.
That is one of the most insane pastries I've ever eaten. I'm so glad I got to. It was phenomenal.
That's what I do it for you.
And I think that's one of the things that, for you, if I hear correctly, pastry is kind of rewarding and challenging at the same time.
Yeah.
But the rewarding part for you is that when someone like me, I remember that. I remember the honey filling. I remember I didn't even know I couldn't get my mind around lilac meringue. I just I don't even understand this.
Yeah.
But I absolutely loved it. And it's fulfilling for you that someone absolutely loves those kind of things.
Yeah, no, like I said, I get the joy of doing what I do is just to see the joy other people get from it.
And then you do, and then here at least at On the Rise, you guys do a lot of savory pastries. I get stuff with mushrooms and feta and these boats that you stuff amazing stuff into.
Yeah, roasted tomato, goat cheese, roasted mushroom with garlic and spinach. Do squash with basil feta, ham and cheese. Lots of different ones.
So the pastries people can come get Fridays and Saturday mornings, right?
Yeah.
And I when I came yesterday, I came late in the day just to get my bread, and the pastries are all sold out.
Yeah.
Because you've done such a good job building the pastry program that you really don't have room for more wholesale clients.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it's keeping me fairly busy. It's a full 8-hour shift just to make for all the crew.
So are they going to get another pastry chef after you leave?
Not that I'm aware of. I think I'm still going to be around here doing it though.
Okay, all right. Because they're like, that's the thing. The cool
family,
thing. Yeah. Fletcher is launching you. I know that some people know Culmination Brewing, amazing brewery in Portland. And one of the things they did is Ruse Brewing started out in Culmination, and then Ruse Brewing, wonderful guys. They launch out on their own. They have their own brewery, and it's kind of like almost like, hey, they had a kid, and Fletcher's launching you. So you're going to take your amazing pastries and you're going to leave.
Yeah.
But no, one more pastry. You do a lot of seasonal stuff, like when strawberries are in season or apricots. You do a lot of seasonal stuff.
Yeah, I try to do seasonal because obviously it's a little better tasting because it's in season. So try to stick with that. Like I said, doing the strawberries, making a strawberry filling, just cooking them down, or even, slicing them after really fresh and sweet and putting them on top of pastry cream, Danish. And then now, I do, the cheese Danish with the cooked down strawberries or blueberries or.
I love a cheese Danish. That's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, no,
I do. I just love a cheese Danish. So for those that don't know, in simple English terms, if you can, how do you make a croissant, that laminated dough?
So it's basically a brioche, but it's layered with butter instead of the butter mixed into the dough as uniform. So you take a milk dough base, sheet it out, put a big slab of butter in there.
Amen.
And fold it over and repeat the processing by sheeting it out to a thin layer, folding it, and it's all down to the folding method and keeping the temperature of the butter and the dough consistently so they don't meld together. You want to have that separation of layers to get the nice flaky pastries. So it's just multiple folding and sheeting and creating those layers of butter. So
if you want some, I can't say it like you do, I'm just going to butcher it, forgive me, but some croissant food porn, there is an amazing Instagram account. There's a bakery in Portland called Twisted Croissant, and the layers, the images in their croissants, the layers, the lamination, it blows my mind. I've got on my list to in fact, I'm doing a podcast at a winery when I get back home, and when I leave, leave that podcast that day, I'm headed over to get some more Twisted Croissant. They are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I still, every time I make croissants, I look at the layers in amazement. It's an amazing process. And
okay, but we're kind of getting a fun preview. You're going to soon, early 2020, you're leaving the nest and you're going to go open. What's the name of the place?
It is my last name, Faber's Bakery and Deli. We're going to be downtown Bozeman on South Wilson. So you're downtowner building. So
you're doing two different things, if I understand correctly. For at least for the people that haven't been on the West Coast, on the bakery side, what are you going to have? Pastries? You're going to have bread? You're going to have cakes, pies, and cookies? What are you going to have?
Yeah, I'm going to have.
At least to the current plan, because things change.
And I want to expand and the best I can to have good products. But to start, it's going to be croissant, Danishes, Napoleon, eclairs, cakes, all the typical good. What I grew up on, East Coast style bakeries had, German, Italian, American.
I love eclairs so much.
No, that's what I mean. A good eclair, I miss that. So, and then trying to do seasonal, have the standards, but also do fun seasonal twists on them as well to change, change it out.
Nice. Okay. And then on the deli side, what are your current plans for your menu on the deli side, or items that people might buy? Not the menu, but just different individual items.
Yeah, we'll have, your typical sandwiches, East Coast style deli. That'd be the best way I can describe it.
So a grinder or a hoagie?
Oh, no grinders. They're, that's a little more north from where I am. They are subs.
Subs, there we go.
Or hoagies,
if
you want to call
okay.
it, but
All
mostly
right.
subs.
So a little bit of olive oil and vinegar on there?
Good quality meats and cheeses, and toppings, condiments, some salads, typical, potato salad, macaroni salad, tuna salad, that kind of stuff as well.
Okay, what about pickles? I love me some pickles.
Oh, yeah.
There's 4 or 5 different kinds of pickles jars in my refrigerator at all times.
Pickles definitely going to be,
You're going to have those big fat dill ones?
Big dill pickles with, you'll make it a dill spear, with your sandwich.
I just want the whole pickle. I just bite it and eat it with my sandwich. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Any fun special sodas or anything you're thinking of getting?
Not right now. We're trying to there's plenty of places downtown to get a lot of coffee and sodas. We're going to have coffee and sodas, but just, typical Coke products.
Yeah. Cause there's a lot of fun stuff on the East Coast that you can't get out here.
Yeah.
So maybe eventually you can find one and bring it out.
Yeah. There's a lot of them, on the East Coast that, I don't know. Like I said, just to get out here, it might be difficult, but if we can, definitely going to source them.
And of course you'll have coffee.
Yeah.
Cause you got to have coffee with
with your morning breakfast pastries. Yeah, we'll have breakfast sandwiches as well.
And I assume if you don't know who, that's okay, but I'm assuming you probably have local coffee.
Yeah.
There's a few good roasters in town. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'm a Ghost Town fan for sure.
I was hoping you'd say that. I did a podcast with a guy that runs Ghost Town. It's amazing. His passion for coffee is off the chart.
Yeah, I've like I said, when we moved here, I tried them all, and that's definitely the style I lean towards. So it's pretty much all I drink.
All right, and I know you're on the front end, but before this podcast comes out, and my fans know how I roll, you got to get the Facebook and Instagram up because I'm going to put links.
Yeah.
They'll go to culinarystreasurepodcast.com, and your article, it'll say follow Faber's Bakery and
Deli.
Yep. And then you're going to have those links up. You got to get that done because we want to help promote you. I want you to make it.
Yeah, definitely. Got them in the works. Kind of getting everything lined up, get all my ducks in a row, and ordering equipment, getting, like I said, Instagram, Facebook.
How exciting and how terrifying at the same time?
Oh, extremely, especially at the times, in 2020.
2020, yeah. It's like almost, I feel almost like I'm cussing when I say 2020. It's so weird.
I figured if I can make it now, I think I can make it anytime. So,
did you hear about the numbers, how they got in a debate? No. They wanted to see who was the baddest number, and 13's like, I got it.
Oh, yeah.
And 666 said, no, I got it. And then 2020 said, hold my beer.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, Ryan, it has been a joy to have you on the podcast. I, on one hand, am sad that they won't be pastries anymore at On the Rise Bakery. On the other hand, I'm so glad that I got to have like that candied lavender with lavender meringue with honey cream filling. I will never forget that. That is just incredible. But I'm going to get to come back next year and have an eclair and a deli sandwich and a big fat pickle. Oh yeah. I'll be a happy pig.
Cover all your bases.
I'll be a happy pig in mud with that. Yeah. And then we'll have to do a follow-up podcast just to kind of keep people posted. And then again, I just want to celebrate. You are at a fantastic bakery right now, On the Rise. Their sourdough bread is amazing. All the different varieties.
They do it correct.
They do it correct. They do it awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being the podcast. I wish you all the best.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers.